Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the differences between active and passive income, why I think passive income is a misconception, what you should be doing, how you can start earning passive income, and everything in between. The importance of passive income. Okay, so let's first and foremost let's nail down some definitions so that we're on the same page. Active income essentially means that you're getting paid for taking an action. A direct action results in you getting paid. For example, going to work. If you are, let's say you're hourly, let's say you work at a gas station. When you physically walk into work, you punch in, maybe you go to a computer and you enter in your time, your start time. From the second you enter in your employee ID until the second you log out, you're actively getting paid. You will only get paid for the time that you're there and the work that you put in. And then at the end of, I don't know, 2 weeks, maybe depending on your pay schedule, maybe you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, you will get a paycheck for the work that you've actively put in. Now, passive income, and maybe my definition is off, but passive income is that you are going to get paid for work that you've done previously, or you're going to get paid while you are focusing on other things. Now, in my opinion, the only true passive income is maybe owning stocks. And even when you own stocks, you have to actively put in work. And whenever I hear people talk about passive income, usually it's just marketing. People are trying to market something to you in order to potentially sell you something. Because when we talk about the laptop lifestyle or, jet setting around the world while you're making money, in reality, you have to do a little bit of work in order to get to that. But, the most common types of active income are going to be like freelancing work, are going to be working at a regular job, a 9 to 5 job, or even doing things like I played bingo cash or cash bingo. I'm going to do a video on that coming up. But the only way that I can make money from these types of things is to actively work in it. Now, there are pros and cons to each, which we'll get into. I think that everyone should have a passive income source. And the reason is it helps make ends meet a little bit easier. We're also going to talk about some opportunities and some options when it comes to passive income. But in my opinion, the only true way to start generating quote unquote passive income is by owning stocks. Now, it's funny, the way that, in my opinion, passive income works is that you're going to do a bunch of work up front and then the work decreases. But as the work decreases, the income or the revenue that you generate will increase, right? So, let's talk about the pros and cons of active income. Now, again, active income is you punch a clock or you log in and you enter in your employee ID and you get paid for the work. The obvious pros is that you take an action and you're rewarded for it. You know that at the end of 2 weeks, you're going to get paid for 30, 40, 50 hours, whatever you work. It's, unless your boss is crazy or something like that, you will get paid for the direct actions that you take. It's stable. It's a little bit more consistent and reliable. However, the biggest drawback is that there is a ceiling. There is a clear and obvious ceiling that you will meet and bump up against time and time again. Your value, your worth, according to the company that's paying you, that's the other challenge with active income, is you're being paid by someone. Your value is directly tied to your role and your responsibility, and someone else is really determining what your value and what your worth is. Your company will say, again, let's say you work at a gas station, your company will determine that your role is only worth X amount of dollars per hour. And no matter what you do, how hard you work, you will not grow, you will not exceed that. And in reality, that's the same for every role in a company. Even the CEO will run into limits as to how much that he or she can make. And so I would say that's probably one of the biggest drawbacks, is that there is a clear, indefinite ceiling. You won't go above that if you're just working one job. But again, one of the biggest benefits is that it's stable, it's reliable. Because you made this agreement early on, you know that you're going to be paid $18 an hour times 40 for every week or every 2 weeks. Um, with active income, you really don't have a lot of control. That can be taken from you at any point. A CEO, in my opinion, I come from the perspective that if you work for a company, you're like office equipment. You're a cog in the wheel, and at any time that your value, your worth drops below zero, they can let you go. They can terminate you because you're no longer an asset to the business. And so it feels like there's no control. There really is no control, and you're being told what to do, where you can go. There's a lot of outside variables that you have no control over. For example, the current economy has a direct impact on your job. How the office politics works out has a direct impact on your job. Supply and demand has a really big impact on your job and your factors for success. Well, let's talk about passive income. Now, again, the biggest con to me is that there's really no such thing as passive income. You will have to do work, and you may or may not get paid for it. One of the biggest drawbacks to passive income, and I think one of the reasons why people get stuck and frustrated, is that with passive income, you're going to do a bunch of work here and you're going to make a little money. But if you get better, if you build skills, and if you are consistent and persistent, the work will decrease, right? But your revenue will increase. So there's kind of like an inverse. At some point, they're going to switch, right? And that's the biggest benefit. And for me, I like to call passive income return on investment income, because that's what it is. The amount of work that you put in up front has a direct result on your output. If you put in a bunch of work, if you invest a lot of time, energy, and effort in learning skills and developing those skills, you can be rewarded handsomely. There potentially is no ceiling on the amount of money that you can make. Obviously, you can't make all the money, but you can see with like content creators and streamers out there that they really have unlimited, it feels like they have unlimited earning potential. The biggest drawback for passive income is that you can do a bunch of work up front and you never know when you're going to get paid. For example, a personal example, when I started my blog, I wrote blog posts for months, and my first paycheck was 67 cents for promoting a security camera. Since then, I have been able to make much more money from that same blog before it got infected with malware. But even with this YouTube channel, my first YouTube videos didn't make any money, right? I essentially was just making the YouTube videos with the hope, the dreams, and the wishes that eventually I would get monetized from them. And I did. I not only monetized with the YouTube Partner Program, I also monetized with affiliate marketing, and then eventually with digital products. So the biggest drawback, and I think the reason why people oftentimes they don't continue on past 30 or 90 days, is that you will wind up doing work and you don't know when you're going to get paid. And then you don't know when you're going to get paid consistently. The other drawback with passive income is that it can fluctuate. Some months you could make 15 grand a month. Other months you could drop down to 3 or 5. Also with passive income, you cannot get complacent. And when I talk about passive income, usually that's owning your own business, creating content, selling digital products, the YouTube Partner Program. You can't get complacent. There are I don't know if the other types of passive income are like owning a house. And even with owning a house, you can't really get complacent because you've got to continuously keep up the house or the home, or else it will potentially drop in value, or it won't grow in value as much as something else. I guess art could be passive income, but a lot of people, if you're watching this YouTube channel, you probably don't have art that appreciates in value. When it comes to active income, the only way to make more money is to make yourself more valuable by attaining skills. And again, if you work at a gas station, you need to get some management, some leadership skills in order for you to become a team lead or a gas station lead, a store lead. And there is a finite amount of opportunity for that there's not unlimited gas stations that need team leaders or team managers. However, when it comes to content creation, selling digital products, there's almost a limited opportunity, because you've got to remember that there are 4 billion people that have access to the internet. And you don't need you don't need to monetize 4 billion people. In reality, you could probably be really successful with 1,000 people. If you had 1,000 buyers, and each one of those buyers, if they had, let's say, an average customer value of $100, that's 100. That's 1,000 times 100. You can do the math. That is a pretty significant amount of money. That's if my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is that? That's $100,000, right? Average order value, average lifetime customer value. Anyway, the biggest thing that holds people back when it comes to passive income is the mindset that we are conditioned to have. We are conditioned to believe that if we take an action, we are paid for that action. If we make a YouTube video, if we make a TikTok, we should be rewarded for that. And in reality, it doesn't work that way at all. It's really based on your skills. How quickly can you build and retain skills? How quickly can you get better at content creation? How quickly can you get better at creating and selling digital products and marketing? The better you get at those things, the more money you can potentially make. But I think everyone should have a passive income side hustle, essentially because you don't want all of the control to be out of your hands. You don't want your manager, because when your manager has all of the control and there's a little bit of desperation there, you start to do things and say things that aren't aligned with you, maybe morally, ethically, legally. Your manager will put pressure on you. Hey, can you come in and work a couple extra hours? Can you work a couple extra hours off the clock? I need you to be a team player. You probably heard things like that. I need you to drink the Kool-Aid. A manager said that to me once when I was asking questions. I need you to drink the Kool-Aid. I need you to be a team player on this. And when your livelihood is completely dependent on active income, whether it's freelancing or working for someone, you have very little control and you feel kind of desperate, and you might have this frustration or edge. However, if you have a passive income stream, and I'm not telling you that you need to make 10K from your passive income, making an additional 1 or 3K can drastically change your life. If you have a passive income revenue stream, that takes a lot of stress off of you. You will walk differently. You'll talk differently. You'll think about things differently. You won't be going from you won't be going from one catastrophe to another. So everyone should have a built-in passive income. And I think that creating your first passive income stream can be relatively easy. The first thing that you should do is identify your hobbies, identify maybe what you do at work, identify the problems that you've solved over the last 3 to 5 years, and you can create content around those things. Let me give you a few examples. Over the past 3 to 5 years, I have twin 10-year-olds and a 7-year-old currently. They're obviously in elementary school. Clothing for them. They're into sports, flag football. My daughter's into gymnastics. Both my sons are into flag football. My youngest son's into baseball. And so those are all things that I can turn around and teach other people. Growing up with 3 kids under the age of 3 and under, is a crazy thing that you can teach other people. Raising twins, crazy thing that you can teach other people. The tech, learning how to be a YouTuber, learning how to create content, learning affiliate marketing and digital products are all things that I could turn around and teach other people. Software development. I used to be a software developer. Learning about N8N and building out workflows and AI agents. Those are all things that you can turn around and teach other people. Now, again, you don't have to be an expert in these things. You don't have to have a high level of knowledge, skills, and experience. In fact, what I'm going to tell you is having a high level of knowledge, skills, and experience when it comes to building out workflows in N8N can be a detriment, because people want to learn from people that are just 1 or 2 steps ahead. If I have 50 years of experience in building out end-to-end workflows, I might forget what the person that's just getting started, I might forget what they're currently going through. In fact, in a bit of transparency, when I'm creating content and I'm talking about affiliate marketing, because I've been doing it for so long, sometimes I just gloss over steps or I brush over steps because I may have forgotten about them or I may think that they're common knowledge. When in reality, someone that is just getting started, they don't know that. They might know, they may not remember or realize that there's a critical step that I've talked about affiliate marketing for 5 or 7 years. That it's just like I feel like it's common knowledge, but it isn't. And so you've got to go back and explain it. I've learned a bunch about cameras and lighting and all sorts of stuff, right? So you can just look back who you were over the last 3 to 5 years and turn around and teach other people. But what I want you to understand is everyone can build passive income as long as you understand what passive income really is. Passive income is return on investment. In order for you to get something out, you have to continuously put something in, and as long as you're committed to improving, you can be successful. Most people struggle with that aspect because we're conditioned to take an action and get paid for that action that we've taken. I would tell you right now in the year of 2025, the best way to build out return on investment or passive income is to simply create content. And the reason being is that the content gives you multiple revenue streams, revenue opportunities. Content stays on the internet forever, for the most part, and content allows you to work for you even when you're not working. So I'm going to make this YouTube video. I'm going to upload it. Hopefully it goes live at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m., I am not going to be working on YouTube. I might be creating TikTok videos or I might be sending out emails. Probably at 10 a.m., what I'll be doing is I've got to send out 3 emails. I've got to send out 2 emails to my flag football teams and 1 email to my baseball team because I coach my youngest son's baseball. But that's the real benefit of passive income. I can be talking to you while I'm actually coaching my son's flag football teams, right? That's the benefit of passive income. My content, my mini-me's, and that's why I don't have a problem making thousands of videos, whether it's here or on TikTok or anywhere else you might find me. My mini-me's are actively working for me while I'm doing whatever. There's somebody watching my videos right now. It says there's 5,700 viewers on my watching this YouTube channel, just this YouTube channel. That doesn't account for TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter or Reddit or any of those other places. I've got 5,000 me's talking to people that are helping me monetize in a variety of ways. It could be with the YouTube Partner Program. It could be with affiliate marketing or selling a digital product. Or even just building trust and credibility and marketing my services. That's the true benefit of passive income. And that's why everyone should have a passive income angle. If you enjoy to cook, teach people how to cook. There's always an angle. You can teach people how to cook Olive Garden at home. There's people that love the chicken gnocchi soup. You can teach people how to cook that same chicken gnocchi soup at home. And just a side note, I think that DIY stuff is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the U.S. economy starts to decline more than it already is. Pro tip. Anyway, getting back to it, passive versus active. Your active income can actually supply and help you build out your passive income. And the way that works is essentially you're going to go to work, but let your active income help you buy the tools that you need, whether it's a camera or a gimbal that I'm using. It's a DJI Osmos 3 that I'm using. Let your active income help you fund your passive income so that your passive income can eventually potentially replace your active income. Now, again, you don't have to create content. It could be just investing in stocks. It could be as simple as you work a 9 to 5, you work at a gas station, and every paycheck you take $100 and you direct deposit it into a trading platform. and then you invest that $100 into an exchange traded fund, and you will build out passive income. It really is as simple as that. You can let your active income fund your passive income. But it's really, really important, in my opinion, that everyone has some aspect or component of passive income to help you just gain back what's most important, which is time. Time, and this ties directly into passive versus active. Time is the one thing that you can't get back. It is our most valuable asset and commodity. You can buy time, you can invest time, you can spend time, but you can't get it back. And the best way to buy time is to either create content, hire a team of people, and or do those types of things. So hopefully this video helped. Let me know that this video is about 21 minutes. Let me know if you're a part of the 21-minute club. But I think those are the biggest difference between passive and active. First and foremost, there's no such thing as passive income unless you're, investing in stocks. There's always going to be an active component to it. And that still goes true, like when, let's say you own a YouTube channel, Faceless YouTube channel, and you hire people to run that channel for you. You still need to meet with those people and manage them. Let's say you have a Faceless YouTube group, a person that does the thumbnails, a different person that does the script, a different person that does the voiceover, and a different person that does the video editing. You either need to meet with them individually, which takes time, or you hire a fifth person, which is the manager of all. You still need to meet with that person to make sure that things are going well. You still need to review the analytics to make sure that your YouTube channel is still profitable. In reality, I can't name off the top of my head something that is truly 100% passive. And like I said, the closest thing that comes to it is probably investing in stocks in the stock market. But what you want to do and what you hope to have is you hope to have a system where you do a bunch of work up front, whether it's hiring people, whether it's doing all the work yourself, where you're not making any money. But then eventually you start making a bunch of money, but the time that you invest goes down. Instead of the inverse, where you are working a bunch, spending a bunch of time, and getting paid for your actions. Anyway, let me know what you think. Did I miss anything? Hopefully this answered your question. Let me know in the comment section. This is a really cool conversation that I think needs to be had. And I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between active and passive. I think, in my opinion, a lot of people get frustrated because when you hear passive income, you think doing nothing or doing very little. And in the very beginning, it's the exact opposite. You're going to be doing a lot. You're going to be doing the most. You are going to, because it's your baby. This business, if you decide to go this route, if you decide to create a YouTube channel, it's your baby and you want your baby to succeed. And the best way for your baby to succeed, at least in my experience, is to spend a bunch of time and attention in the very beginning. And as they get older, you'll be able to see that you can maybe back off a little bit or change directions. Now I got to do my thumbnail. I always forget. So this is the thumbnail portion. Let me know which thumbnail you like. Obviously you'll see it before you click on it. So yeah. So what I do with my thumbnails is I'll take a bunch of stills from this video and I'll upload them into ChatGPT and I'll say, which thumbnail should I use? And so AI decides which thumbnail is a great one. So thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great day and we'll talk soon.